All right, everybody, welcome back. So, rookie reviews. We're going to continue this series. So, a few days ago, we did Matty Beniers. And today we're going to do Stuart Skinner of the Edmonton Oilers. Now, Skinner is a goaltender, and not to be confused with Jeff Skinner, by the way. And with Stuart Skinner and me, what I was thinking was, honestly, when they signed Jack Campbell this past year, I was optimistic. I was like, yeah, Campbell could come in as a solid, be the starter and Skinner would be the backup. Obviously, that didn't happen. But first off, let's go to what happened before this season unraveled. He was drafted 78th overall in the third round, 16th overall by the Edmonton Oilers in 2017. And this is something that, people always are saying, oh, why you draft a goalie that low and so and that. Well, goalies take a while to develop. They really do. And people were saying that, oh, why did it take them so long to get to the NHL? It's because goalies take forever to develop. They take forever because I would imagine what Skinner's scenario is, and it's going to be very similar to other goalies. They're going to play 1 to 2 years in the juniors. Then they'll probably play a year or two in the American Hockey League, get some NHL games there in between, but you won't fully make your NHL debut until probably 5 seasons down the road or 5 years down the road after you're drafted. In some cases, it's less than that, but in a lot of cases, it's either that or more, if we're being honest. And it took Skinner until, 5 years later to fully play a full season. He's played games before, but this is his full season being in the NHL and such. As I mentioned, he did play games before that. He played a game in 2021, but he did play 13 games in 21-22, where he went 6-6, had a 2.62 goals against average and a .913 save percentage. But besides that, he was putting up good stats in the American Hockey League. He was doing very well with the Bakersfield Condors, and that was what Oilers fans were saying a lot. And yeah, I'm going to say it. Oilers fans were saying it a lot. They were saying that Skinner is going to be their next goalie. He's going to be the next good goalie in Edmonton. You just got to pray that he develops. And he's done well. And, again, it took a while for goalies to get here. It takes a while for goalies to get developed and fully well. I remember when Carter Hart, for example, came into the NHL and he was brought in a little bit too early, but still developed to be a really good goalie. And Skinner is looking like another example of a goalie who took a while to get to where he is now, but now he's fully developed and ready to go. But this rookie year for him was interesting because it really wasn't supposed to be that big of a year for him. He wasn't ready just yet, apparently. He was probably going to be the backup for a few years until this year happened. They signed Jack Campbell to a 5-year, $5 million deal at 5x5. And when that was signed, he was looked at to be the backup. With Edmonton, and Skinner would be the backup, and then Campbell would be the starter, and that's how they would roll with it. Or maybe the other thought was they could do a tandem where one would play 40 games, the other would play 40 games, and then such. But the main plan was probably for Jack Campbell to be the starter, and then the season started and they got off to a bad start. Yeah, they didn't start off very well. And Campbell played pretty bad out of the gate, and then Skinner came in, played a couple games, played very well, and they decided to stick with him throughout the majority of the season. Skinner would play 50 games. He had a 29-14-5 record with a 2.75 goals against average and a .914 save percentage. That's good. That's pretty damn good for a team like Edmonton and for a goalie who, hasn't had a lot of experience, played only 14 games before this rookie year. And having a season like that is very good for a goalie like him, and it brings up his confidence too. And I think next year he could be even better. I'm not saying he's gonna be like a Vezina winning goalie, or he's gonna win a Vezina or anything like that, or anything along those lines. But honestly, I think if he keeps going in this path, keeps developing the way he's planning on, I think he could definitely be a solid, probably top 10 starter in the NHL in a couple of years. And especially if it gets to the point where they're coming closer in the playoffs and making the finals, making the conference finals more often, and they come closer to a Stanley Cup, Skinner probably will be relied on as that starter. Now, paying a backup $5 million for the next 5 years, that might not look so good, but honestly, with this year that Skinner had, it's looking like he will most likely be the starter. Come playoffs, though, and there was a lot of criticism towards Edmonton in the playoffs, and there was a lot of criticism towards Stuart Skinner in the playoffs. In the playoffs, he went 5-6 and put up a 3.16 and a .883. There were multiple times where he was pulled. Jack Campbell had to come in. There was multiple times Campbell was pulled and Skinner had to come in. So, yeah, honestly, look, it's difficult, and really, like, honestly, the Oilers were in that situation. You can't rely on a backup, or not a backup, a rookie goaltender, and a backup who gets paid $5 million to win in the playoffs. You really can't at that point. I'm not saying they won't be able to rely on Skinner later on in his career, but like, he's a goalie on it. He's a rookie goalie. So that's what people need to take into consideration. Like, he's a rookie. It's his first ever stint playing in the playoffs. Playoffs are a different breed than regular season hockey. So it takes a lot to get used to. And I think Skinner, I mean, like, I thought he played well at points. There were games where he wasn't the best, but there were still games where he had some good games. So overall, I think a 5-6 record and a .883 is not that bad. I really don't think it is whatsoever. I think it'll get better from there, in fact, with Skinner, definitely. When it came to Calder voting, he came second, and he was second not by a large margin because Beniers beat him by like 800 points. But we knew Beniers was going to win it. But Skinner still had a pretty good Calder voting, putting him at 1,074 points. He had 24 first place votes, 71 second place votes, 46 third place votes, 32 fourth place votes, and 11 fifth place votes. So overall, for a goaltender who played in his first year, 5 years after he was drafted, played about 50 games, wasn't even really expected to be playing that amount of time, being second in Calder voting, I think is pretty good. So yeah, anyways, Stuart Skinner, I think it's going to be a very positive goalie in the next couple of years, and we'll look back on this rookie review as a very solid review and just previewing what's to come for the future. But anyways, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe on it down below. I greatly appreciate it. But yeah, I like Skinner a lot. I think his future is bright in Edmonton, and it'll only get better from here. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.